I'm Janice Hossteiger. After 3 decades in the marketing business and many years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about marketing. Join me as we talk about marketing, small business, and life in between. Welcome to My Weekly Marketing. When I first started my business years ago, my business coach told me, start growing your email list right now. But like the rebellious student that I was, I didn't. And it has really taken its toll on my business even to this day. So I wish I would have started building it earlier, but it's hard, right? And there are so many other things that will grab our attention away from doing something that seems kind of mundane, like growing an email list. But here's the thing. If you sell a service, especially if you do launches or promotions or something for like an online course or coaching program, I can tell you just by looking at your list number how many courses or programs you're likely to sell in a launch or promotion. So if growing your email list feels harder than it should, then this episode is for you. So today I'm talking with Tracy Beavers about how to grow an email list without paid ads. And more importantly, what actually makes organic list growth work. And listen for this as we go. By the end of this episode, Tracy's going to share one mistake most business owners are making that quietly gets in the way of list growth, even when you're doing everything else the right way. So this conversation with Tracy is practical and very doable. Here's my talk with Tracy. Welcome, Tracy. Welcome to My Weekly Marketing.
Thanks for having me, Janice.
So email has been declared dead about, 147 times now. And yet here we are.
Right.
Does email matter? Does it still matter for business owners?
Oh my gosh, yes. It matters now more than ever, in my opinion. The email list, as you know, Janice, I'm sure you've taught this to your clients and students as well, is one of the only things we own as a business owner that allows us to maintain a connection and stay top of mind with our clients and prospective clients. As an online entrepreneur, if all I did was try to grow my business through social media, even things like Substack, YouTube, and then the platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, if I did not use those platforms to pull people from the online space to the offline space to my email list, then I run the risk of not being able to contact them at all if something were to happen to those platforms because I don't own them. And they all have an algorithm to them, and I don't have any control over that. And honestly, I don't even think the people that run the algorithm know what the algorithm's doing. I don't think anybody has control over the algorithm.
I think you're 100% right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the phrase, never build on rented land. And I think so many businesses do that. And we all work so hard to build our social media following.
Yes.
And I have seen it over and over again just disappear overnight.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
it's devastating if you don't have an email list. For sure.
For sure.
So
when all the hubbub started with TikTok, was it going to stay? Was it going to go? Was the government going to shut it down? I was just like, man, I hope those TikTokers are growing an email list because some of those people, that's their livelihood and they make a lot of money. But if that platform disappeared and they didn't have a way to still reach out to the people that were following them, oh my stars, can you imagine? And then 2 years ago, I think it might have been 3 years ago now, Instagram and Facebook both went dark for about 36 hours. And I'm in the Meta Leaders Network for Facebook. And when the lights came back on and we were all back on Facebook and I was in that group, there were so many business owners that lost a lot of money because they did not have an email list. But the ones that made money were the ones that had a list. There's a very high-profile name that I know, and she sent a couple of emails during that time, and she made $14,000. And I'm thinking, I'd rather be the $14,000 gal than the gal that couldn't reach her people and couldn't sell anything for 36 hours. That's really scary.
100%. Yeah, I do remember that. In fact, I think I put an email out there saying, this is why we built an email list because you own the list basically. So
for sure.
So if somebody has like traffic, but very few subscribers, where is that breakdown usually happening?
Oh, this is a great question. So it can happen in a couple of different places. The first thing that I would ask, if somebody says to me, Tracy, my list is stalled. I am going to want to ask them, okay, do you have any free assets that you give away? People call them lead magnets, freebies, opt ins, whatever. And do those pertain to the actual offer that you want people to buy? Is there an actual customer journey? Because a lot of times somebody will develop a really great freebie, but turns out it has nothing to do with their paid offer, and that confuses the audience. So they end up not staying on the list. But if the list growth has stalled and the answer is yes, I have some freebies, then my next question is, how often are you promoting those? Because do we have a visibility problem or do we really have a traffic problem? Because a lot of times my students will say, oh, well, I promoted it once 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, that's not enough. Every week in our weekly content, we need to be promoting one free thing, one of our free lead magnets every single week. And I also don't want people to forget that things like having their own free Facebook group like I do, that's a lead magnet because it grows my list because of the way I have the entry questions set up to join my group. Your podcast, when you set it up the right way with audio that leads to your list and show notes that has links to your list to list growth, that's a top of funnel lead magnet strategy. And so so I ask them, do they have the lead magnets? And then if they are truly promoting it enough, then the question is, okay, let me see the lead magnet. Let me see the copy that you're using on social media to attract people to it. And then we look at, where is the funnel breaking down? Is it the initial messaging that I'm seeing on social media that is not truly attracting me and making me want to opt in? Or are people actually clicking to opt in and they're getting to the landing page and they're not actually opting in? And that right there in the funnel is a signal that the copy, the messaging between the social media post promoting it and the landing page where you opt in for it, the messaging is off. There's something there that's making people think that they're not in the right spot when they get to that landing page. So those are all the things that we look at. There's so much that goes into it, but once you understand the logistics of how it works, then you can start to ask yourself, am I promoting it enough? Is my messaging on point for the promotion? Is my messaging on point when people get to the opt-in? And if all of that is correct, then we just kind of have to go back to the drawing board. A lot of times it's a messaging problem, but sometimes it's not.
So much good stuff here to unpack, and I'll get to all of it here in a little bit here. But and you're clearly very well grounded in what works. But that usually comes from experience. So was there a time in your business that your growth wasn't happening in your list the way you
Yes.
wanted? And what did that period teach you? And is that so? Tell us a little bit about what you learned about growing an audience organically.
Yeah. Okay. So my background is from corporate. I had an over 20-year award-winning sales career. Truly never thought I'd leave corporate until I was working for a CEO that wanted to monkey around with the commission structure every other month. And it was like ridiculous. You just couldn't really trust him to keep his word. So I was like, okay, I don't think I can stay in this corporate structure after all. And so I decided to build this online business, being a business and sales coach, and I built it alongside my corporate job. And at the time, this was years ago, this was 2019, 2020, all of the list growth. Let me back up. I recognized immediately through some of the people I was following in the podcasts I was listening to and things like that, that the email list was key. You have to have an audience, and you can have an audience online. But again, if that platform goes down, how are you going to reach those people to sell to them when you go to launch? And also, just because you have a big follower count doesn't mean all those followers are actually your ideal clients, right? So that email list is so key for so many reasons. So I'm like, okay, I've got to build a list and I've got to build an audience. And all of the list growth programs that I saw, they did two things. Taught me how to identify my ideal client, which I already knew, and how to create a free lead magnet and put it out on social media. And that was it. And then still to this day, I haven't found a list growth course that teaches anything other than that except for mine. And so being a very impatient person in a corporate job that I wanted to leave, I needed list growth faster than when it was happening. And I tried paid ads a couple of times. And while people did join my list from the paid ads, they didn't stay and they didn't convert. And so paid ads, I was like, those are expensive. I'm not trying that again. That was a waste of thousands of dollars. And I thought to myself, there's got to be other ways to grow this list. And for me, what I help my clients and students do is pick one platform, go all in on it, get it to convert for you before you even think about going to a different platform. For me, that was Facebook, because this is at a time when I didn't know anything about Instagram. I wasn't on it, wasn't familiar with it. And LinkedIn at the time was a place to go find a job or get recruited for a job. So I was like, all right, Facebook. I know Facebook. I know how to use it. I know people that are on it. I've been in Facebook groups. I got this. And I dove in and I analyzed the platform. And there are so many nooks and crannies in that Facebook platform where you can maximize list growth outside of having lead magnets. So what I teach in my 8-week group coaching accelerator called Business Visibility Made Easy is essentially everything else you can do online, on Facebook especially, to get list growth and leads outside of paid ads and more lead magnets. So the answer is yes. There are so many other things we can do. And some of them are super simple and some of them are more of a long game.
Yeah, I agree. You have to kind of get scrappy sometimes if you're not willing to pay ads. And when I first started building my list, and this is a business I used to have, it was a design and marketing business. It was when Facebook ads were really inexpensive. And I would get, I don't know, conversions that would be like 12 cents. So it was like, this is great.
Yeah,
I
this is
just put
awesome.
a lead magnet out there and it worked really, really well. But that's not the case anymore. And I think for myself, I'm noticing that my organic growth has definitely slowed down. I don't put money in paid ads or as often as I did.
Yeah.
But I also think that with AI, information has become really easy to obtain.
Yes.
So, how do you recommend that we approach lead magnets in this new world of, ChatGPT and Clyde and so on?
Yeah. I was asked this question on a podcast a week ago, and I'd never been asked it before. She asked me, are lead magnets dead? And I was like, huh. Because, the last 6 months we've been hearing that courses are dead. We both know they're not. They're
Mm-hmm.
just
Hmm.
different. Our
Yeah.
audiences are looking for more actual help and live help from us in the courses. And so I was like, huh, are lead magnets dead? And I r I don't believe they are. But much like the course industry, they've changed. Our audiences are more savvy. They are not going to waste their time and give their email address for a cheat sheet or a basic
Mhm.
PDF or
Right.
something that they could get from AI. It has to be
Mhm.
something deeper and different than what AI is going to give them. AI can give you the top 10 secrets to growing your email list without paid ads, but it can't give you what Tracy Beavers is going to teach you in a short video as a lead magnet. So I believe that the lead magnets that are still going to be relevant are the things that actually help people get a quick win, not just review
Mhm.
information. And so the majority of my lead magnets are a short live training from me. And then you have the checklist or the PDF or the little workbook that allows you to dive deeper into the work and actually do what, like I have a social media made easy guide, and that walks you through creating 90 days of content topics in only 30 minutes. And so I do the video where I walk you through the exercise, but then you also have a download for you to make notes and really do the work. But that to me is an example of a lead magnet that will be evergreen because it actually teaches people something. What do you tell me your opinion on that, Janice?
Well, this is the same, question that I've encountered for myself and for my clients too. It's that a simple cheat sheet or a checklist that used to work
Mhm.
it's just not going to cut it anymore. And
Right.
I think I've noticed is that people are looking for something either very specific
Mhm.
that I want to be able to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible to learn
Yeah.
something.
Mhm.
And if that can be part of a lead magnet, that's perfect. Or something I would say that is more of an experience, so more
Mhm.
experiential. So I'm actually playing around with putting on free workshops, for
Me
example,
too.
for lead generators,
Yeah.
because I think people just really need to realize that if AI has its place, no doubt
Yes.
about it, and it
Mhm.
will become more and more powerful as time goes on.
Right.
But right now, it's not there yet. And you can't just go into ChatGPT or whatever your platform is and say, I want a marketing plan
Mhm.
and expect anything other than, AI slop. really. I
Yeah.
mean, it will send you somewhere, but it may
Right.
not be a place where you wanna go.
Right.
But so that's kind of how I feel about it, but
Yeah, I love that you're doing free workshops. I think that's a great idea. I'm doing something similar. So, for the members of my free group, I have a first Friday of every month, we have a networking session. They do have to register for it, so it
Mm.
does grow my list. And then, also each month I'm doing a live Q&A, ask me anything on a specific topic. So it's kinda like a workshop, but I'm not creating a workbook or anything really deep, and it's not more than about 45 minutes, but they have to register for it, and it's been great, but, to your point, AI can't give us Janice and her wisdom, you
Right,
know?
right, yeah.
And yeah, it could spit out a marketing plan, but there's nothing like having you, the pro, walking me through the marketing plan and answering my questions and explaining why this is a good idea or maybe why this part isn't a good idea. So, like, they could do their AI marketing plan, but then they're still going to need to find somebody to help them with the expertise to truly get the result that they're wanting.
I agree, and I think the other problem with AI is that it's really easy to get answers from AI that either will send you in the wrong direction or
Y
a slightly off direction, which I
Yeah,
think is even worse because you think you're going in the right direction, but it's not gonna take you where you wanna go.
right.
The other thing is that I think there's so much information out there
Yes.
that you just really need to have somebody walk you through and distill down, "Here's what you need.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that right now,"
Yeah.
because, I mean, marketing paralysis is so real, and I mean, not just marketing, any part of business is
Yes.
that can happen in, but I definitely think that that is something that an advantage that people have over
Mhm.
AI, for
For
sure.
sure, the human aspect is still gonna be needed, and I agree with you so much. There is so much noise in the online space. I can't tell you how many of my students have said, "Well, this business coach told me to do XYZ, and then this business coach said, 'No, XYZ is wrong, do ABC.'"
Mhm.
And it's like, holy mackerel, you know? No wonder people aren't making progress. They don't know what to do. They don't know
Yeah,
they don't have any
yeah.
leadership, you know?
Yeah, and I get a little frustrated with business coaches that say, "You must do this, 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 and this,"
Me too.
because that maybe is what worked for them,
Yes.
but, like, I talked to somebody yesterday, and she was like, "Well, my coach told me to do this, but I did this instead," and I said, "Well, it's working for you,"
Yeah.
and the thing about marketing is that it really is all about testing.
Oh,
Nobody
so
has your product, nobody has your audience,
yeah,
nobody has you. I mean,
right.
it's like how you really have to test things to see what works.
Yeah, you really
Um,
do.
so I just don't think that even business can be that prescriptive. It has to be something that we try a few different things and see
Right,
what works out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to remind my students we're not building a McDonald's franchise that you can just follow a blueprint for, put the
Yes.
characters in, buy the uniforms, and then stand back and go, "Isn't it beautiful? I'm gonna go build another one." I mean, that's not how online business works, and I thought it did in the beginning. I was so naive. Coming in from corporate, I thought, I'm going to build this and then it's just going to print money for me and I'm going to be able to do other things and have the time freedom and da 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 da. Okay, about 8 months in of running 150 miles an hour, thinking I was going to get to the finish line faster, the faster I went, I realized this thing's never going to be fully built. It's going to be
Yeah.
constantly evolving and I'm constantly going to be testing and tweaking and throwing things back out there. And to your point, one of my clients last week said to me that an old business coach of hers, I found out from this client that she was still doing all of her own social media content in spite of the fact that she has a VA. And I was like, well, no wonder you are stressed out and overwhelmed. I mean, when she finally said that, I was like, there's a thing we need to fix. But then she said
Right.
that this old business coach told her she needed to post on Instagram twice a day and she said, I can't do that. So I'm doing 7 days of reels. And I'm like, how long does it take you to make a reel? She goes, sometimes it takes me about an hour. I'm like, are these converting for you? She's like, I think I'm getting followers, but I'm not. And I'm like, no. But that's a prime example of this person told me to do it because it made them successful.
Mhm.
And so I said to her, I said, you know what? And I love that you're not this way, Janice. My students will never hear me say, if you don't do this, you will not be successful. I teach the strategies that have worked for me, and then I find out what do they want to do. You know, going
Right.
live on social media worked really well for me for years, but not everybody's okay going live. So I can't say to them, if you don't go live, you're not going to be successful, because that's not true. We all have to find our own
Right.
way, but yeah, I get frustrated with that also, because there's not just one way to do it. There's lots of different ways to do things, and we have to do things that feel good to us. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything at all.
That's 100% true. And one of the things, just based on what you're saying, is that you really have to take in. I love that you said that, if you're not comfortable going live, don't go live.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't fit you, you're not going to want to do it. You're going to put off doing it. You're going to hate it. And which I kind of feel like about reels, making reels myself.
Ugh,
I hate it,
I
but
do
I have
too.
to do it and I do it,
I don't
But
do it. I
also,
stopped doing it. I did. Not kidding. I
I
stopped
mean,
doing it,
yeah.
and we would take my live video, and my assistant would throw it into Opus Clip, and she would make some stuff, and I was like, "Okay, that sounds great." I can't do a reel. No. It's
Yeah,
frustrating.
yeah. Well, I mean, I do find that the more I do them, the more comfortable I get with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going with them for now. But the other thing is that it has to fit your life. And if you're overwhelmed with something and you've got, young kids at home,
Yeah.
a lot of people start out working part time while they're still in
Mhm.
corporate or doing
Right.
something else, if it doesn't fit your life, then
Yeah.
it's not going to work for you no matter
It's not
what.
right.
So, yeah, that's the place to really look hard at what you're doing and determine whether or not, scale
Mhm.
back. That I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. And I find myself drowning in you name it. I found myself today doing that. Like I get distracted by something. I was, redoing a lead magnet actually and updating it. And I thought, okay,
Yeah.
this is not what I had on the calendar for today. I gotta, get back here, like get back to what's moving the needle.
Right.
That's the thing that I think I see a lot is that it's easy to get distracted by things that don't move the needle.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, that was a bit of tangent, but
Love it. I think the
so
more honest discussions we have, the better off we all are.
oh, 100%. Yeah. I think that's it. Like you said, it's easy to come into a business and think, "Oh, I just need to buy the uniform and get the manual together and it'll all just flow." And
Right.
I think we all kind of have that in the back of our mind too. It's just I'll just need to get it set up and it'll just
Mhm.
run.
Yeah.
But what you don't take into consideration is the fact that the economy changes, that
Mhm.
we change, that our
Mhm.
audience changes, that, like who saw, AI coming 10 years ago? Like I didn't,
I
I
didn't
would have
either.
never thought. So I was like all in on online courses. And
Yeah.
then suddenly, oh, they're not selling like they used to, So
Mhm.
yeah, you got to remain flexible and it is a journey. But
Sure.
so back to list growth here, though. How much does trust play? Like, let's talk to me a little bit about. I've heard so many people say there's a trust deficit now going on,
Yeah.
and that we really need to garner trust,
Mhm.
maybe before the lead magnet, or maybe in the lead magnet, or maybe. Yep. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you're totally. So I started noticing in mid 2024 the trust deficit, recession, whatever you want to call it. And in my opinion, it's warranted, because this space became the wild, wild west. From 2020 to like 2023, early 2024, a lot of people out there claiming to be a coach, charging $10,000, $15,000, making a lot of promises, and not delivering a darn thing. And so people that are in our audience are more hesitant to buy. And I don't blame them, because they've been burned. And it breaks my heart. But I hear it every single time I launch my program. That's why I offer free info calls for people that are considering joining my accelerator, because they want to talk to me. They're like, when I say that I am the coach in there with them and that they have access to me, and I am the one that's going to be reviewing their homework, and I am the one that's on the live strategy call, and I stay until all questions are answered, and I'm not going to, put them on a timer and all that jazz that other people do. They almost don't believe me. And I don't blame them, because I've been in
Hmm.
programs with big names where there's thousands of people and that big name promised live Q&A, and they end up cherry picking the questions they're going to answer and not answering every single question that everybody has. And that kind of stuff is not okay. And so I understand how we've gotten where we are. But the good news for people like you and I, who are truly genuine, who truly care about our students and our clients, who truly are available to do whatever handholding is necessary on whatever day it's necessary, we are the people that are going to be successful in 2026. And so to establish that trust, it could be that it needs to happen before a lead magnet, but it could be that it happens after someone's opted in for a freebie. Last summer, I started doing live low-cost workshops as a way, not as not as a big income earner, but more of a list growth, audience growth. Come in, pay $77 to be in an hour and a half workshop with me. Let me teach you something. And then you'll know right away whether or not you want to come into my group coaching program or hire me as a one-to-one coach. And it was a nice way for people to come in at a lower price point because they're scared, so it allowed them to kind of tiptoe into the pool before coming into the deep end with me. And so we did that. And then I thought, I would really like to offer some free things. So for my free Facebook group members, I have that first Friday networking session. They have to register for it, so it grows my list. But also, they get to meet me. I get to meet them. We get to see each other in the room. And they can tell right away by the way I lead that session and as goofy I am and I talk with my hands and, connecting people and then getting into the breakout sessions and visiting with them. They're going to know right away if they like me, to know if they're going to can trust me and feel like I know them and they know me, that know, like, and trust factor. Also, those live Q&A, Ask Me Anythings, those are free. And again, the purpose of that is for me to really get to know the people that are in my community on a deeper level, and for them to get to know me on a deeper level without a barrier of entry of paying for something. Now, time will tell if these things are really going to translate and convert the way I want them to, but so far it looks good because when we go ahead and launch the program, I'm tracking when someone buys and joins either hires me one-to-one or buys the group coaching, we're tracking, did they ever come to anything? Did they come to the free networking? Did they come to the live Q&A? Did they come to a live workshop? And sometimes yes, and sometimes they've come in by an affiliate, somebody that they trust has recommended me in my program. And so the trust transfers to me. It's like, oh, if Liz likes Tracy, well, then I know I'll like Tracy because I like Liz and
That's
I trust
awesome.
Liz. Yeah. So I firmly agree with you that we can't just throw stuff out and expect people to just buy it. Those days are gone, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with you. Yeah. And even like for freebies, I think
Yeah.
I don't, my email inbox is brimming. It's so full all the time. And for me to download something now, it has to be really good. And
Good.
yeah. And I have to go in there with, like you said, a recommendation or know that that person is really going to give me some quality information.
Yeah.
So what I have been trying to do is, this is something I'm kind of working through myself, is just trying to really communicate my brand, garner that trust ahead of time, which I think I do somewhat on the podcast.
Yeah.
And so that when I ask for an email address, they know at least that I know what I'm talking about. So it's
Right.
not just somebody putting something out there that's not going to convert. So
Right.
what is something that people are doing that can actively hurt their organic list growth?
This question so much. One of the biggest things I see that's a major gap, leak in their visibility and their list growth is not having their social media profiles set up as a list growth funnel. So I teach Facebook because that's my jam, but the strategies that I teach, you can take over to LinkedIn, Instagram, you can take it over to Substack, you can take it over to YouTube, to Circle, Mighty Networks, Heartbeat, wherever you have a social media profile. I want it to say who you are, who you serve, and how, like immediately. And I want your cover photo to drive to your email list. Because one of the strategies that I teach from an organic standpoint is being visible in communities. So if you're visible in a community over on Circle, for example, and you have commented something, somebody's asked a question, and you have commented something brilliant about marketing, answered their question brilliantly, and somebody else sees that, they're going to go, who is this girl? They're going to click on your personal profile in that community. And when they go there, I want them to see a way to join your list.
Mm.
That's a
Love
major
it.
gap. That it's a leak. If you don't have that, you've lost that connection. Also, you have to make it really easy for people to connect with you off that platform. So if you don't have like if their favorite platform is LinkedIn and you don't have a LinkedIn link, there goes that connection. If they love
Mhm.
Facebook like I do and you don't have a Facebook link, there goes that connection. And so for Facebook though, when we are active in Facebook groups, where our ideal clients are hanging out, or maybe our potential collaboration partners are, or we're in a great group of other online entrepreneurs that we could collaborate with. A major miss is not having that personal profile dialed in because for the reason I just said, when you post something or you share something and you're visible in that group over and over again, week in, week out, not all day, every day, but a few minutes, a couple of times a week, people are going to say, who is this Tracy Beavers person? I see her name a lot. They click on my personal profile, they go there. If there's no information about who I am and a big old picture of my family or my dog or a sunset, okay. How are they gonna I mean, they could send me a DM, but I mean, they're for me, it makes my brain go, "Wait a minute. I thought she was an expert. Based on what she said, I thought." And I get here and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Is she serious about her business? Or is she just doing this as a hobby?"
I love that you said that because that's something I have not thought about. But you're right. In groups, we don't go in as our business name, we go in as our personal profile. So if there's nothing on our personal profile to say, this is what I do, or at least, you know, some kind of link to let them know that that's where they should go,
Mhm.
then you're right. That's a lost link or a leak in the funnel, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
So that is great. I thank you for saying that because I'm going to change mine because I think I have my family picture up there, but I'm sure I do. But
yeah.
yeah, that's a really great observation. I love that.
Thanks, thanks. And it applies to other platforms too, like I said on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
in a LinkedIn post that is going like gangbusters and you've commented something that's really impactful and somebody wants to click on your profile, man, we've just got to make sure they know how to take the next step with us.
hmm And I also love that, because I work with a lot of smaller businesses, a lot of solopreneurs,
Mhm.
and a lot of times I will tell them, You can't be on all platforms. You
No.
just focus on one because you will wear
Yes.
yourself out trying to be on LinkedIn and Instagram and TikTok and da da da. But what you're saying also makes a lot of sense in that if you're not going to be active on that profile, at least get a cover photo or something like that set up so that when they are on that and they do follow you, that they can find something else about you.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I love that.
I teach the same thing, Janice. I think if you have a team that can repurpose your content and put it on the other platforms, that's outstanding. But
hmm
I have students that tell me, "Tracy, I'm exhausted." And I'm like, "Well, tell me what you're doing." And they're like, "I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I did
hmm
it TikTok
hmm
and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Well, no wonder you're exhausted. I mean, just don't do
Yeah.
that. Let's figure out where is your audience, what platform do you like, and let's go all in on it. And then when you can afford to hire somebody to put you on the other platforms, then you'll be on the other The only reason why I'm on Instagram at all is because I have an assistant. And quite frankly, between you and me, it does not convert, and I really just want to shut it down. But she's like, "No, it only takes me 10 minutes to put your stuff there." I'm like, "Okay, fine, we'll keep it."
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Gosh, I have a lot of questions to ask you here, but I want to be respectful of your time here. But what are some healthy expectations for organic list growth, especially for smaller audiences? Like, what can they expect organically? Let's
Yeah.
assume that they are doing a lot of what you recommend.
I had a student a couple weeks ago in our group, and she said, "Tracy, I just feel like this is gonna take forever." She's like, "How long before I see results?" And I get it. Organic growth is slow. It's not fast, and I'm not gonna tell anybody that it is. It's hard to guarantee a number to somebody. "Oh, if you follow my strategies, you'll grow your list by hundreds of people every month." I cannot guarantee that because as we were talking about at the top of the interview, or one of the second or third questions you asked me, if they've got great lead magnets, but they're not making them visible, and if they're not doing all the things that I teach and all of the things they possibly can do week in, week out, and getting that consistency, then it's hard to say what their results will be. I do know that for me, though, I grew to my first 1,000 people on my list within about 10 months of employing the strategies that I now teach. And I've grown to my list is now, this really surprises people. So my list is probably 5,600 people. The healthy part of that list is more like 3,000 people. But I have a multi six-figure business. And so we do not have to have 10,000 people on an email list to have a six-figure business. And I don't have thousands and thousands of followers on these platforms. I have followers that are true ideal clients of mine. So I want us to focus on quality over quantity when it comes to numbers. And I also don't want us to get discouraged if it takes longer than it feels like it should, because it's going to. So I would just like to share that using consistent strategies week in, week out, and you're making sure you are doing all of the leading indicators that you have control over, the lagging indicators will catch up over time. But it might take 6, 8, 10 months of that consistency and patience and tweaking things and the messaging and all of that before it starts to pay off. And don't discount conversations in the DMs as a way to drive list growth and leads. A lot of people are not comfortable having those conversations. And that's a big miss. That's a big gap because
Yeah.
you might have enough visibility and you actually might have enough leads. I have over 4,000 people in my free Facebook group. I don't have a leads problem. But if I end up saying, Janice, I've got a conversion problem, that's where you're going to be like, well, Tracy, are you talking to your people in the DMs that are in your group? And if I say no, then you're going to be like, bingo, there it is. So it's hard for me to put a big number. I wish I could say, oh, you're going to grow your list 30% every month. I wish I could do something like that, but I can't. It varies for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what you said too. It's what you put into it is what you get out of it. And really, I think one of the things I tell clients is just really be creative at what opportunity you have that you can share something. It might be that you're giving a speech to a networking group and you
Yeah.
can share a QR code,
Yeah.
or, just really be creative about how can you get that information out there and really, really making sure that you give value,
Yes.
because that's people can sense if you're just looking for an email subscriber versus like, here, I want to share this with you. I really want you to succeed. I really want to give you some value, because I think that's something that people can pick up on for sure.
For sure.
All right. So since we're kind of wrapping up here, I just really want to do a rapid fire Q&A.
Okay.
And we'll see how fast you can. I'm not going to
Oh,
time
boy.
you or anything. So
Okay. Good, because I'm a little
all right.
nervous.
Short answers, no overthinking.
Okay.
Do you, pop-ups on your website for email? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. One lead magnet that you'd retire immediately.
Oh, gosh. My God, there's so many. I have a lot of lead magnets. Let me think. Oh, probably the one about how to build the business of your dreams or something. It's kind of cheesy. I don't like it anymore.
So, like the type, like more the
Oh,
type
the
of
type.
of
Oh,
lead
the
magnet.
type.
Yeah, yeah.
So if it's like a simple PDF or a checklist or cheat sheet or something, nobody wants that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you do opt-ins in blog posts, other places on the website, or just the homepage, or where on the
Oh,
webpage? Or
absolutely.
sorry, where on the website?
No,
What's that?
absolutely. So what I teach in my students is that all roads lead to list building. So if I'm going to
Mhm.
do a podcast, it's got to grow my email list. I've got to give you a link audibly in the show to join my list, and I've got to give you something in the show notes. Same goes for the blog. If I'm going to do a blog, then that thing's got to grow my list. So if people are searching and they find my blog, then that blog has to have a call to action that grows my list. Otherwise, that's wasted content. I mean, don't do it. If it's not going to grow your list, don't do it. Yeah.
How quickly do you email a new subscriber?
Oh, so we have a 3 email welcome sequence set up. So you go opt in for one of my thingies, my freebies, and then immediately you get the thing, but then you also get the email sequence. So it's immediate. You'll get the thing you opted in for immediately, and then you get 3 emails from me. And then I email my list. After that, you go into the regular pot of the email list, and I email them once a week.
Okay. How quickly do you send that first follow-up email? Is it
Oh, so they
the
just go into
next day?
No, so they opt in, they get the lead magnet email, and then they get the
Right.
3, it's like day 1, day 2, day 3, the welcome sequence.
Oh, in 3
And
days.
then yeah,
Okay.
3 days of that, and then they just go into my regular weekly email, which I've been sending on Tuesdays. Now I'm playing around with Thursdays. So depending on when they came out of the welcome sequence, it's possible
Sure.
they might get another email from me that next day.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Total sense. Yeah. I was just wondering because I know that there are people out there that like spread out like 2 weeks worth of welcome
Oh,
emails and
no.
I just was curious about what your take was on it.
No, I don't
One
want to read 2 weeks of welcome sequence. No.
So one organic list growth tactic that works surprisingly well.
Yeah, setting up that Facebook personal profile for list growth works like
Yeah, love that.
crazy. Yeah.
Love that. I am on that one. Okay, and finish this sentence. Your
Right.
email list won't grow
If you're not visible online offering your ideal clients what they really want.
Love it. Where can people find out more about you, Tracy?
I have a podcast that I love. It's called Create Online Business Success. And then also, you've heard me mention my free Facebook group. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. Come over and join us. You know, you can ask, you're allowed to move around the cabin in my community. So many groups are just so locked down and strict that people feel like they can't even move an elbow or they'll get kicked out. In my group, you can come in and you can ask for help. You can connect with other people, come to our networking session. You can promote your offers on certain days. It's just a really cool community. So I'd love for people to come connect with me there.
It is a cool community. I'm in it, I believe. So, all right. Well, I'll put the links to all of that in the show notes for today as well. So, thank you so much, Tracy. I have learned a lot and I am going to go change some things up. So, I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I hope my conversation with Tracy today gave you some ideas for growing your email list. And if this episode helped you at all, I'd love for you to share it with a business friend who's trying to grow their list too. For more information about Tracy or anything we talked about today, visit myweeklymarketing.com/153. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.